That's what you have. But we're going to get rolling with this. What's going on, everybody? I am the one, the only, the Wookie. Joined here by most of the misfits. We got the PhD of Keyforge, Dr. Sheep.
Yep, still a misfit.
We would have Ewok, but he can't seem to figure his way out of the corner. He'll be in, we're assuming, shortly. And Drascore is on special assignment this week. Super special assignment. We got two guests this week. We got Mr. Helmkey, who joined us for our Keyforge adventure. Welcome.
Hello, Keyforge community.
He's not a Keyforge player, but he was on the Keyforge adventure. And a fan favorite, Lokacar. Hi, Lokacar.
Hello.
So we are going to go over our fabulous trip there and back again to Gen Con. There was laughs, there was tears, there's anger. A table flipped at one point. I might have made that last one up. But for whatever reason, Ewok has Vault Assault on here for some reason. Anybody know why?
He played Vault Assault.
Okay. Ewok played once at Gen Con.
Yep, and we played once at the store.
Yeah, and how was Vault Assault?
He said he had a better time at the thing. If he would come over here, we'd know these things.
Somebody want to ping him? I'll ping
Kick
him.
him right in the pants.
Oh, you know what I can do? I don't even know why I would ping him.
Just drag him in.
Why don't I just... Oh, where'd he go? There he is. Ewok!
Hello.
So we've already started, but you played one Vault Assault at Gen Con.
I did.
You have this right front center at the very top of the notes.
Yeah.
Why? Did you enjoy yourself? How was Vault Assault?
So on Sunday, I had the pleasure of being able to qualify for top 8 for an event we'll talk about later. But that had already actually finished. And as I had two lovely members from our traveling team who were playing on Sunday, I was looking for something to do. And I partially thought about going ahead and wandering our hall. And I saw that there was a group that was playing Vault Assault. So I had a $2 generic ticket. And I decided, you know what? Let's try this out. We tried it out at our locals on Tuesday. And I figured it was a great time to be able to go ahead and play. We ended up playing a 5-player game. And the background that I had actually from Tuesday helped to run that a little bit smoother. But it was a lot of fun. So shout out to my other 4 friends who were there. So Eric Waters, Pat, Mahala, and Jason. So if you are not familiar, Eric is definitely in our Discord as someone who...
He's in the audience right now.
Look at that. Shout out to him, man. And I give a shout out because he actually... I came Sunday with no Keyforge. No tokens, nothing. And the only reason I was able to play this Vault Assault is because he had an extra deck. He actually had his Archon deck from the day before. And so that's what I got to go ahead and throw out right away. So it was fun. It was a wonderful experience. I can also give a shout out to Jason. Was very, very famous. You should see Jason Wallace from the Warcraft. So go check out Tobin and Jason. But it was great to be able to play with those two. And for both Mahala and Pat, they seem to have some Keyforge experience, but it had been a while before, like it had been a while since they had last played. So to see some people coming back and enjoying it, we had a blast. It was much more enjoyable the second time around than it was the first time. So first time we had a lot of Amber control. There were 3 Rant and Rives in the WoW deck alone. This, we actually sped it up in a couple different ways. There was Binate Rupture that was played. And so that definitely sped things up. And it actually ended up that 3 people had individual key cheats to be able to finish on that last turn. So it just came down to turn order of who is going to finish. which made it a rather interesting and fun game. I will still argue that some of the individual cards are some of the individual boons, I should say, because those are what you're kind of picking up and playing. They are more powerful than others. I had a little bit of fun. I jumped out to an early lead just because I had a massive Archon deck. Turn 1, as I was going first, had double recklessness, and the sixth place boon was actually gone. So I ended up with the 5, which allowed me to draw an extra 3 cards. So recklessness, not as great there, but it was a pretty brutal start. And I already had 6 amber for that first key. So much faster start. But it was overall a great time.
All right. For the most of you who know, Gen Con starts on a Thursday, not on a Sunday. Weird story. But we went down on Wednesday to get all set up. We had stayed, well, you guys were in the camper. I stayed in my own tent, and my personal luxury tent.
We appreciate that you helped us out in that manner. I could still hear you snoring all the way through the camper into your tent over the fan. Lokakar, I believe you had the best statement here, and that was one morning after getting up. How far away could you hear Wookie as we were walking back from the bathroom and facilities there?
Oh, I was probably a good 20, 30 feet away, and I could hear him snoring.
Yep. Crystal clear. So we appreciate you
They
living
say
in that.
crystal clear. This is all incorrect. Sheep, did you hear me?
No, but I could feel the ground shake.
Steve, could you hear me? Take that as a
Steve
no.
doesn't know how to use
Sorry.
the microphone.
Yeah. I don't know. I was too busy spooning with sheep to really.
So this is really why Sheep and Steve here, Mr. Steve, could not hear this snoring. That there was other activities that were being had.
Too much fraternization.
But Lokakar and I were just trying to be able to stay alive and try and get some sleep. So, luckily we just fell asleep before you, and hopefully you didn't wake up while you were asleep.
Well, the perfect thing is when Wookie's alarm goes off and he keeps snoring over top of it because he can't hear it because of his own snoring. So,
that's
the
how that works.
added joy in the morning.
That is
Dude,
not
your
how that
alarm
works.
sounded like a video game. I thought Lokakar the first day was playing a video game, like with the music on full blast, and it was like this panic attack mode that was on some different survival video games that I played. And it was just like, it was the most wretched noise I've ever heard. And I have no idea how you did not wake up with that.
I normally do wake up to that. However, I was tired. You guys kept me out way past my bedtime.
They did warn us of feral cats, but none of them would come anywhere near us.
Nope. No
You're
raccoons, no cats.
You're welcome. That was Wednesday. We went and got our badges, had all the fun stuff. But Thursday is where the fun begins. Thursday was Sealed. Ewok, tell us a little bit about Sealed.
Sealed happened.
All right, moving
Sealed
forward.
was fantastic.
So
It was glorious.
We all got decks. We showed up nice and early. It was a good time in that manner. I know that Josh has asked for some feedback about basically how the different events were run at Gen Con. So anyone who is in the audience who was part of Gen Con experience, please provide some feedback as to time for arrival and setup. I think it could definitely be sped up a bit, getting to Keyforge earlier. But hey, man, we got decks. Go ahead.
There was one piece in the same place as us. They had 750 players, and they got them registered in about half an hour.
Yep, 30 minutes.
So I'm not sure why we need a full hour for Keyforge for registration for significantly less people.
Because 9 o'clock means roll in at 9:20, 9:25.
Because here's the problem, like some
10:45.
Don't you think that's conditioned behavior, though? Because we've gotten used to the registration being so long and they've been so generous.
Conditioned. Absolutely.
I mean, the problem is that like I definitely agree with all of you. Like, if it's supposed to be 9, it's 9. If you're after 9, well, I'm sorry, you have missed the cutoff and no longer allowed to come in. I mean, there's definitely some late entrance to the party. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to hurt some feelings for people to understand. Like, 9 o'clock does not mean 9:20.
Well, I mean, the short answer is we need to be able to just speed up. If we can get through, if one piece can get through 700 people, hey, you're in your app, you're in your spot. There is no reason that we can't do it in a half an hour. You get your decks, then the next half hour, you're making your deck, and then we are ready to go. And that should be 20 minutes, 10 minutes to go ahead and pair while they have us ready. So we should be ready to fire at 10 o'clock for sealed, and we should be ready to fire at 9:30. It's just something that we can pick up on.
So late. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm too used to the old Vault Tour days, but I feel like starting at 10 is like wasted most of the morning. I'd rather start at 9. Do registration by 9 and get going opening decks or going with the first round pairings.
I would agree. Like, I think getting there by 9, like that's plenty of time. We were there by like what, 8:30 most days.
We consistently hit about 8:15, 8:08.
Yeah.
I know you guys were always harassing me. Oh, we need to get going. Man, we're sitting there for over an hour waiting, and then it's another hour after we hit 9 o'clock, and then it's another half hour after that before we play. We were definitely there early. It was fine.
You need time to find the poop easy.
Hey, we definitely had plenty of time for that.
The quest for the poop easy was important. There was plenty of time to visit the bathrooms. Probably
Yeah,
too much.
maybe.
All right, so we get our decks, boys. How did your decks look? You got 3 decks. We can go ahead and alliance them if you want. Did they look decent? Did they
I
look
threw
good?
mine in the poop easy because they were bad. I had let's see, I had a okay Mars pod. I don't care what Sunday says. Unfortunately, me and Sunday had to play, and the deck went off. It did not perform like that for any of the other games. I had a very okay Mars pod, a subpar Geistoid pod, and the rest of my pods I could have played Shredder with, and no one would have batted an eye at me.
Nice. Lokakar, how did your decks look?
I had a deck and I had a bunch of trash. So that was kind of how that went. I mean, afterwards looking at it, yeah, the deck I played as a straight Archon deck was in the 90s for SAS, and it's the sort of deck that, in a field and any other set, I would probably have a really good chance of going top 4, if definitely top 8. But, in this meta where you can, if you don't have the bursty Mars and you don't have the key abduction and the extra charge and the winds of death, good luck getting anywhere much. So fun deck. I had a lot of fun playing it and playing Archon, and people never being surprised, but definitely the best 3 pods were just already in the deck. And if it was pick one, play it, I probably would have done quite a bit better, but went 1 and 2.
You weren't the only person who actually asked for that format to be able to return. Pick 1 out of the 3 and play it. That's very interesting, it was said. My 3 decks, Sheep, I'm going to skip over you for a bit because you actually had a tournament. Boys and girls, I went 0-2. And to make things worse, I scanned in all 3 decks, and none of them were horrendous. I've actually seen a lot worse with our GR. They did not really work well together. So the first deck I can go ahead and show for anyone at home following along is Pharaoh, Ebon Elf, Boys Levesque. And to be honest, this is the highlight. I ended up with Geistoid in all 3, and none of them were great Geistoid. The 2 other Geistoids from my other 2 decks are Hooktill, Barbaric, Holdfast Advisor, and La Reveille, the Crassly Tired. The Geistoid in the second and third decks, frankly, the highlight is Persephone in Shades. It did have double Winds of Death and Ecto, but it's not doing what you want with Geistioids. The Levere, Crassly Tired, had In Here Somewhere, Be Our Geist, awesome. And then it was Spontaneous Awakening, Animating Force, Singing Scythe, and I was pretty sad. I did go ahead and take a line with the Geistoid from Pharaoh, and in my opinion, this was still the best. This jumped out as the pod that I wanted to have right away. It had Boo, Ecto, Energy Vampirism In Here Somewhere, Winds of Death, and double Cursed Tomb. So yes, I was playing a double Cursed Tomb, and that is what basically kept me alive. And I brought it in to try and counter the Mars. If you're going to go ahead and be playing your Mars shenanigans, you have to really think about it with those creatures going away as they die. That was the thought process. I did have plenty of capture there: Double Dark Lamp, Harvest Skimmer, Mamet, and Elby Astray. So it actually did provide some interesting choices for me. The next choice as my second house, I had 2 Brobnar pods. And I wanted this deck. Hoketil's Holdfast Advisor. I really wanted to play the Brobnar, and I could not convince myself to play it. It had double Might Makes Right, boys. Double Might Makes Right.
Tell them your creatures. Tell them.
It was I couldn't play it, and here is why. It had double Soul Bomb too, but the creatures here for the Might Makes Right included Earthshaker, double Fiery Jark.
I think you had a lifting buddy too, no?
No.
Nope.
Nope, that
Oh,
was
no.
it.
No.
Nope.
That was it. So the Fiery Jarks are not going to stick around, and the Earthshaker will clear the board for the littles, but I can't pull Might Makes Right with that. And I mean, Sound the Horns is great for getting to those 3, but it just, you can't do anything with it.
You're easily be haunted every time you play Sound the Horns.
Yes. Yay.
Your soul bombs get value.
Yeah. So I went with the Brobnar that actually could do something. It was okay. Burn the Stockpile, Cacophonous Riot, Lash Out, Memorials of Fallen, Double Recklessness, and then actually the creatures: Countryside Crusher, Crimtooth, Torchtooth, and Orner Skullface, Returning Giants, Rickety Cyber Giant, and Shock Herder. I could potentially put out a Brobnar board and then do something with it. That did not happen in either game, and I had pretty much Mars shenanigans go off once. That's really what was going off.
I believe
And then
the highlight of Sealed was when you lost to Cardboard Sheep in Second Ember.
Against Cardboard Sheep, I did play each of these decks as Archon because I figured that way they each get played versus the trash bin where they need to go. But yes, Cardboard Sheep definitely beat me, and he beat me pretty handily on that too. So I even chose poorly in the one deck. I mean, I just threw them out. But yeah, Cardboard Sheep beat me as well. It was a real rough day on that Thursday. I could not pull a win to save my life because I also played Second Amber, but I made a choice to wait out a round because there were 3 of us and there was no need to take a bye. And then I played the next round and I lost as well. So some days you have it, some days you don't. Thursday was not my day.
What was even better is I think after lunch you and I played a game and I OTK'd you.
Yeah, actually, that was the best draw that I had in that whole day. I was up 2 keys and like 4 amber pushing for key 3. You had 0 keys, and then you're like, boom, OTK with my Sealed Alliance deck, and I'm like, yep, this is why I'm 0-2 and I'm out because I got nothing. What I could really do actually with my deck is I could take your amber and then I could go ahead and let it go away. But that doesn't work when you face Mars and they're rule of 6ing you and pushing pretty hard. And that's pretty much what I face. So shout out to Fire Spray. Man, you had my name all weekend long, but I lost at time. Yep. I'm waiting for that one. It was 2 keys to 2 keys, and I lost 2 amber versus 1 amber. I made 1 key literally early. I think it was like turn 3. Yeah, no, we didn't get to 3 keys. It went to time, and I lost on amber. But I didn't make the second key until time.
Did you say you had no keys and you lost 2 ember to 1 ember?
No, it was 2 keys to 2 keys.
Oh, okay.
I actually, my first key I forged pretty early. I want to say it was turn 3, but the rest of the game, I could not gain Amber once he got his Mars going and once he actually got his Amber control going. We both did have Memorialize the Fallen, which zapped a whole bunch of Amber too. So that was really, really sad. And then game number 2, I played Moscato, which is Lyle from Camp Crit. So shout outs because Lyle's been on the cast before.
You had it right the first time. It's Crit
All
Camp.
right. All right. It did look right, and I don't know what I messed up, but it is Crit Camp. But Lyle was awesome. This game, I'll technically lost that time again, 2 keys to 1. 2 of the keys forged out of my 3 keys that day. That's right. I forged 3 total keys. They were ecto charge. So I just, it was bad. It was real bad.
Too bad that bad boy purges itself.
Well, so yes, unless you have Poltergeistoids. But if you actually look at the individual SAS on these decks, they're not rated poorly, boys. Like this is an 83, an 83, and an 82. So you look at it and you're like, you should do something. But none of these have any outstanding.
Those are all pretty bad for Grim Reminders.
Correct. And that was really what it equated to is that, I think the one Geistoid is a 31, and that's what I used. It was okay. It was a great line with Cursed Tomb, but I did like to see when I brought out the second Cursed Tomb after some people like played no creatures to purge. So if you're not familiar, Cursed Tomb enhanced. Each creature with no amber on it gains destroyed, purge this creature. So that's why I'm trying to purge out creatures. I just didn't have enough amber pips. I played as many as I could, but that wasn't there. But it says if there are no creatures in play, purge Cursed Tomb. So I know against Lyle, like he purged the first one, he was all happy, and then I brought out the second one, ruining people's days. But that was my experience. Sheep, how'd you do, my friend?
Well, I didn't suck like you guys.
Oh, I sucked. I sucked hardcore, man.
That is for sure. You did not. You hit a top 8.
Easy to do when you got a good Mars pod. Well, a decent Mars pod.
Yeah, I had a good Mars pod. It was double proliferator, a rebel, a Dr. X, 1 abductomatic, 3 brain darts, 2 plague winds, and then loyalty implants, which I think got used once in all the games I ever played. So that worked out pretty well. And I had Geistoids, and it had 1 in here somewhere, and 1 Winds of Death, and double Elbia Stray, and 1 Grim Reaper. That's enough to play that pod. But then it also had the BMO Eldergeist, which is that guy that lets you, if you're haunted, your creatures with amber, when they're dead, you also gain that amber. So that led me into my 3rd pod, which actually ended up being stronger than I expected, being unfathomable disappointment that it was. It gave me double Stir Crazy, double Wrath or Ruin, and a single Dragnet. And I used all those Wrath or Ruins to always put 2 creatures back, and just that hand choke into a lot of GR decks is huge, right? Because GR is not actually very efficient, not hand efficient. So, like, giving them mixed creatures back to hand all the time really gave them a hard time.
So that end sealed for Thursday. Congratulations to Hurricane Relic, Dr. Sheep, Fabulosing, Doug Tater, Aviator, Liquid Squash, Fosmont, and Sith, all hitting that top 8. At that point, we go to the hall. What the? Now the poop easy. We go to the vendor hall.
Distracted.
Very distracting. We go to the vendor hall. We poke around. I think we only really we tried out 1 game, which was what was that game called?
We definitely did dungeon cards out there.
Dungeon Cart.
Yeah, Dungeon Cart.
Dungeon Cart. You guys love Dungeon Cart.
It was a bad
It's okay.
game that allowed Ewok to go from last to winning in 1 turn.
He wasn't last. He was 3rd.
No. Well, so
Sort of.
So there's a turn order dungeon cart. You're essentially playing Mario Kart style racing game. Your cart then is trying to make it through a course, and you're trying to
It's a Mario Kart board.
It's
game.
a Mario Kart board game.
The catch-up mechanics are too good. Is the problem.
So that was it. Is that I actually started at the rear of the pack. By the time we made it through the first turn, I believe, Wookie, was that you and I who both collected like the double cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple as well.
Yeah, and
power-ups.
too.
Yeah.
But those power-ups helped, and then it sent the catch-up mechanic. I was pretty close to where everyone was. But because I was in the back, I got more powerful catch-up cards. And to be honest, those two cards, as the player who is introducing it to us, said, well, these are the two most powerful cards from the game. And I'm looking at both of them going, ooh, they're both in my hand right now. So I only got two of them, and they were very, very powerful. One, you are limited with the game of being able to turn. It's a hexagonal board, and you would turn a 60-degree facing. Okay. You could turn once. The card that I really abused was at the very end. It allowed you to just follow the optimal line, and you could turn as much as you wanted and just go straight. So was
something tells me everything. I mean, we played the game. There's two boards going. I don't think we were playing it right, but
well, there's a question about the bouncing or
bumping,
drifting. Yeah, bumping, because somehow Sheep managed to go ahead and use his big fatty cart in order to bump. Who did you bump? Was
me.
that?
It was me.
It was Wookie.
It was Wookie. You bumped him like
halfway across the board.
Yeah, it was all the way across the board, like where typically everyone else
only
gets
like 8 spaces.
Yeah, only 8 spaces.
Only 8 spaces.
We were
mind you, you start this game in like 3rd gear, and you only go 3 spaces to start with, and I think the max anyone got movement points by the time we finished was 8 anyway. So
well,
he shifted up to 12.
Ewok's cheater turn.
Yeah,
no, Ewok's cheater turn doesn't count because those cars are just flat broken. But...
No,
he
the turn before
cheated.
the turn before that I had 12 as well.
Yeah.
I actually pushed it there. That's where the card on top of it, because you'd want to ideally slow down, and I'm like, nope, I can now play this card and push it further again. But no, we played. Everyone was sad because I came from the back and I won. And I told you ahead of time, this is a race, but you have to be the hare or the tortoise. And you guys wanted to be the hare, and I was content being the tortoise until I rocked your world. Boom.
Except you tried to cheat and go across a wall initially.
Well, the guy said, this game
there was no wall that we could
enough.
see.
Let's end this. Here you go.
There. So, no, it was fun, but it was not our game.
No, it was awful, and we all said we would not give them $80 for this game, although lots of other people
Lots of
clearly
other
were.
people did.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I also feel the person who was running the demo could have used some better explanation.
Well, and to be fair, we're hitting the hall after the Keyforge tournament, so it's already 4:30 at the earliest. More like 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in there for 7 hours, having to demo the game, be happy, encourage people to play and enjoy it, right? So, I imagine after 7 hours of doing that, you're running on fumes if you're demoing a game. So, appreciate the guy who demoed it, but yeah, it
you know what we
was
should
certainly lacking experience.
I feel like we should ask someone here who might have been in the vendor hall for that amount of time. Maybe not the vendor hall, but demoing games for that amount of time. If only there was someone here who could do that.
Oh yeah, I can definitely tell you about demo
we have one
games for 8 hours.
We have a sucker.
Rather exhausting. So when you're getting near the end of that 8-hour shift, yeah, that is a little tiring.
And then you got
I was
4 hooligans like us coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Stumpy Robots would have been fun because we could just wail on each other, and that would have been the whole point. So,
yeah, I'm kind of disappointed you guys didn't want to, sign up for Grinder.
Still feel like they could have named that better. But anyways, went and met up with Steve after that.
All the grinding we needed to.
Yeah. And then we went to the JW Marriott to meet up with Sydney and play some board games. Right?
Freeload off of our awesome Marriott Super Rewards.
That
too.
We also did that.
That is a bonus as well.
Sometimes, Sheep, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, I think we're all super mooches, and I approve.
I approve. What did we play?
Well, yeah, considering what our lodgings basically ended up being like $25 a day, basically the way we went. So yeah, of course.
Hey, there was only 2 inches between your knees and the board while you're taking a pooper. So it was good.
We did not have the poop easy at the establishment.
No.
You had to go to the JW Marriott family bathroom, which you had
Oh,
all
no,
the
no.
leg room you needed.
Okay, so we came up with this. We know that Drascore is known for his Drascore experience and speakeasies, being able to find Sheep. I go ahead and deem you the poop easy because, man, you had a sight for we're in
The good
Oh,
bathrooms.
no. If you think I'm telling people where the poop easy is, you're nuts.
No.
You find your own.
No, you managed to find that in the space. It was amazing. It was tucked behind a little escalator. There was like nobody
Too
in
many
there.
clues.
That's
No,
really
I'm giving
easy.
clues.
You don't talk about the poop easy.
Yeah.
Now the reason for this, right, is how many thousands of people were there at Gen Con? It was sold out. We show up Wednesday and they've already got
75,000 people.
Yeah, 75,000 people there, all sharing not many bathrooms, to be blunt. So
I found a family restroom that I went to.
Yeah, actually, on our way home, we thought about just going ahead and bringing in a U-Haul trailer with a
Converted.
one stall. Yes, that we could convert it,
A
or one of those.
Super luck stall. The real poop easy.
I think this is the way to go in the future because there is very limited space, and there's a lot of people
FYI.
putting some fluids and food in their system
We
that we don't
need
want
to
to see.
know how much people would actually pay to use a deluxe poop easy. You know, where it's private, it's air conditioned, it's got top of the line toilet paper,
I came up with a name for
bag
that
of cookies
business.
on the way out.
It should be called the Butler.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Oh boy. Well, we'll
So,
look into this for
we-
2025.
We have gone ahead and put this in the butler for you, but I'm telling you, I've been at weddings where you've had kind of essentially a pickup trailer that has a series of toilets in. So this isn't unheard of. But
Yeah, those aren't deluxe. They're just
He wants to go
Places.
all the way. Like he wants the
I want
bidet.
to feel like royalty.
well, I'm telling you that the money from GG is no longer there, and so we're just gonna have to go ahead and shell this out ourselves then. Chief.
Yeah, I know. This is
The butts.
we have to figure out how to monetize pooping.
now, could we get more people to play Keyforge if, part of your event entry got you a ticket to the Poop Easy?
The
No.
butler.
I mean, what, $20 to get a shot at the butler?
I mean, I walked all the way down to you guys from the opposite end of the convention hall just for the better bathroom.
Dude, those bathrooms were rough. Oh my
The ones
god.
right off the exhibit hall? Yeah.
Nasty.
I went
I
into
smelled
with
some bad things.
I went into one with sheep and it smelled like BO and ass. I peed. I still had to go. I left and went to a different one.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
rough.
the large con again, 75,000 people. It did sell out ahead of time, so there were just.
But again,
so
I
many
feel like
people.
we say this every year. Deodorant, guys. I'm a big guy too. I understand the qualms of 90-degree heat outside. You just keep yourself a little Old Spice spray, and when you're feeling a little less than fresh, give yourself a little blast.
Now, I will speak when you say 90 degrees, sheep. I felt that the sheep shack really held up. The air conditioning kept me pretty cool outside of when we were doing teardown. And the one day when we dropped you off, I think that was Saturday night. Those were the two times it was pretty hot, Sunday being the worst of them.
Because I turned off the AC during the day while we weren't there.
No, 100%. But I'm saying, like, I give you real credit. The Sheep Shack was a comfortable endeavor that I did not feel uncomfortable in the 90-degree days. So you did awesome. I mean, we were inside the big convention hall and the stadium, but when we came back, it really was an enjoyable spot. So thanks, man.
I had a fan.
It was
You're
great.
welcome.
I had a fan.
All right.
It was good.
Now,
It was
you
super chilly.
go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, at night, let you raw dog it with your feet.
Yeah, with my toes out.
Raw dog
Exactly.
it with the toes out.
You
I
need
learned
to
s-
maybe
I
expand
learned
on
so
that.
much. I learned so much, boys and girls. I'm just gonna say. Apparently, I live a very, very sheltered life. That is what we learned.
Yeah, we all knew that.
Speaking of, so board games at JW Merritt, we actually
Yes.
did have some fun on that Thursday. 2 highlights for me. I put them
Uh-oh.
in there. Oh yeah, we played Adventure Party. So for all of my board game friends out there, Adventure Party, man, this is all about storytelling. And did we have some fun?
I would also
boys?
just like to say some of us are better at storytelling than others, accurately.
Some people are better at following the storytelling rules as well than others.
Yeah.
Well, you say that. I have one thing to say.
Ah,
I missed that
yes.
game and only got the recap, but it was
Yes.
well worth the price of admission.
There was a lot of butt stuff happening in the recap.
Prostate exams.
I personally believe that the best way to escape prison is with the shrieking sheep head that was,
Shrieking.
enjoyed. Oh yeah. No, see, we needed to survive, so we ate sheep and we were left with a head, and we had to use that in order to scare off the guard.
There's a shrieking skull.
It was a shrieking skull.
Yes, Ewok definitely tried to abuse me in our fantasy world.
It was amazing. So a great party game. I don't call it a party game.
It's a
with
party game.
It's
Yeah, it's a party game. I wouldn't call it a board game.
I mean, the scoring on this game we were not really worried about, but the stories,
Like all good party games.
the stories were very enjoyable.
I thought I liked that game, but I did really enjoy AI.
So AI space puzzle.
Is that actually the name, or is that just how we remember this
That
thing?
is the
No,
name
I-
of it. Yes, I asked Chris later, and I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Yeah, it's AI. It's just
so-
AI."
No, it's actually AI space puzzle. I
Oh.
actually pulled it from Board Game Geek. So I did that 2 to 5 players, and talk a little bit about this game. What do we have to do?
All I have to say is when I'm the clue giver, Wookie understands what I'm saying, but you two have no idea what's going on. And you guys
Well,
keep convincing him to change everything, and it screwed it all up.
So
No,
the short and skinny
Wookie was
is
the one who.
Wookie got it right. No, Wookie got it right. I was 100% correct the whole time. Y'all were wrong. we
Sheep, do
got
you
there.
remember this the same way that Wookie was right?
Yes,
This is the time
I do
to say
remember.
no.
This is the situation where clearly they communicate with like
Wookie
grunts
sounds,
instead of language, and we could not understand.
So,
So the premise of this game is you're a bunch of astronauts on a nuclear-powered vessel that's failing, and the AI broken computer is trying to communicate with astronauts and tell them how to basically shut down the reactor. So as the clue giver, you're giving clues with just tile tokens and a certain number of them and such to guide the other players so they can get the clues, and then they have to figure out where they're moving the astronauts to and with which key to then shut down the reactor safely is the premise of the game. So
yeah. And the
I
board
played
is,
the AI at one point, and Wookie understood every clue I gave him, but it was up to Sheep every time to convince him that he was wrong, which was both frustrating and quite amusing. That
well, we
to
know
watch
that
this.
we know that Wookie is always wrong, so it was really difficult to believe that he was actually right. But the actual board itself was a 4x4 grid, and so placing those meeples out of a specific color and a key to be able to match. Later on, if you want a little extra challenge, you can add in a pips die essentially, but another die to be able to match. But no, this we had a lot of fun. What's crazy is you're given a certain amount of steps or chances to be able to move each round, depending on the round, it was 2 or 3 movements, and then you'd essentially lower it for your number of rounds. But the problem is you never get feedback if you are correct in the choice or if you're incorrect. So as we move down, it then would come back to the computer to tell us a clue, and then you'd move it down, and then the computer would tell us another clue, and eventually you'd say, we either have this or we've run out of clues. We always had extra. That's just the type of gamers we were. And outside of the time where, John, you were running this, we were successful. So it was fun, but it led to some great discussions, some arguments, and overall a good time. So I'd recommend it.
All right. Moving into Friday. Friday was our Archon tournament. 26 players participated in Archon. How did everybody do?
I got to abuse Wookie, so I had a great time.
You did get to abuse me. I did not have fun.
We went out back of the wood shack, so.
Yeah, it sure did. Glad you got knocked out.
So I guess going off of that, I went 2-0 and was like, oh, I might have a chance to get into the top 8. And then I ran into Fabulosing in June, and there went the rest of my day. But then I jumped on stream and commentated with Jeremy, which was a blast, and really enjoyed that. Almost enough fun that I'm like, maybe I'll just write off Archon and just do commentary from here on.
JR, how was your Archon experience?
My Archon experience was actually enjoyable. After a pretty pathetic Thursday going 0-2, I came in. I brought a deck that was a tool deck. It's a GR tool deck. It actually had the nice Awakenings border, and I enjoy it. It's a fun deck, and I think that when you're playing in a tournament, that's an important aspect. Can the deck do well? Does it have tools? Is it going to go ahead and be successful? And then do you enjoy it? If you do not enjoy the deck, do not bring it, even if it will go ahead and win. I know there's some people who will, but you're there for multiple hours. For Archon Game 1, I faced Tron317, who was Ross from Indy. So shout out to you, man. This was on stream. I won 3 keys to 2. He had Scholar Spam, and I pretty much shut down the Scholar Spam by playing Pester Grove. So I apologize to all the watchers and viewers who went ahead and saw. We both missed the Enraged tokens multiple times. That deck has 18 printed amber, and Pester Grove's just one of those tools that if you're facing a Mars pod or certain groups, in this case Scholar Spam, it can really limit the ability to go ahead and be able to reap right away. Now, unfortunately, Ross only got off one of the Scholars, and that turn was before Pester Grove came down. So Pester Grove did slow the game down, but it's still, we finished with plenty of time. We missed a couple triggers for putting out. The big trigger that was actually missed consistently was I'd fight with a creature and then just forget to remove the Enraged token. But there's such a rarity that you would actually fight with your Enraged creature to still have it alive. It had very minimal impact on the game. So we got a couple stops there. No big deal. Game 2, I faced Fire Spray again. So this was Jared's spray.
And Ewok.
And we lost him.
He's
Too much time talking about his matches.
Yep. Sheep, how did you do in Archon? You were playing Unfathomable deck, right?
So on the way to Gen Con, I got mugged, and fraud ended up in somebody else's hands.
Nobody mugged you. It was not a mugging.
Mugging.
You did have to change the tire.
Yeah.
We did have
Yeah, we didn't mention that.
So indeed, you played fraud. So then, looking through his left, Unfathomable had finished second to fraud in Texas with a deck called Lancelot that has triple E's and lots of other cool stuff. So I figured I would just play that because it's fun. And indeed, it was fun. I got all the way to 5th place. But the highlights for me were I did beat June on Bandola. on stream. So that felt pretty good.
Was that because Bandola, actually, believe this or not, people, Bandola did not, I don't believe Bandola top 8'd, right? It got eliminated, right?
It lost to me on, like, I had exceptional lucky draws, in my opinion, going on in that situation. Like every time June tried to play a good creature, I was able to return a Grim Reaper to the board and just purge it. And she had like a bad Witch Queen turn, and I purged that. She had a bad Jervy turn, and I purged that. And that's just how it went, right? It was all sheep. And then she got paired up to an AOA deck that had double mimicry, and potentially a different line of play might have worked out, but the double mimicries were able to capitalize on the good cards in Bandola and pull the win out.
I had to take on that deck.
I also had to take on that deck. That was very cool. That was a very cool deck from Castivar. It also had like quad ZYX researchers in it.
Sure did.
And in the game he played against me, he never even played a ZYX. That's how fast Lancelot just like shot out of the gate, did everything right, and was on P3 in like 5 turns, and he just didn't get to get anything going.
I think I got to play against that deck on stream, no?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think so. It sounds very familiar, and I think that's by the point I was out of the tournament, so I was commentating.
And then ultimately in the end, I got taken out by the Scholar Spam deck that Wookie would play on day 2. And he Scholar Spammed the pants off me. 1 trainer, and he still pulled off a 5 Scholars and Pack Soriana turn pretty early in the game. And I was like, woof. And that was the end of me. That deck did everything it wanted to do against me. And put me out. And then I still had a route at the end. And then an Event Horizon to get me rehaunted so I could retrawler. And I played a Survey to discard the first action on my deck. And then played the Event Horizon to try to get haunted. And then to get haunted. But the next card was also an action. So... and I ended up 1 card short of being able to replay Trawler, capture all his Amber, and keep chaining that game forever.
Yeah, Wookie, your game versus Castavir is on stream.
Okay, yeah.
It's Sheep's game versus Sydney is on stream as well.
Got it.
On Archon Day.
I remember, because here's what I remember. Because I remember, so I went 1-0. I was playing a new player, very new. And fraud struggled. It did fraud things, but it was not as clean as I wanted it to be. And then I got to play you, and you took me to the woodshed. That's for sure. Well, that game lasted all of what? 3 turns? 4 turns?
Nah, I went a little longer than that. But
I don't think so.
My deck I like to run has a lot of hand disruption and a lot of if you rely on actions, it doesn't have Brio, but has good ways to disrupt and
it has
interrupt plans. So it has 3 befuddles.
Yes, I know, and that's good enough. And then to be honest, I don't remember a lot until I went up to Fabulosing. And I don't remember the order in it. I remember I beat Fabulosing, and then maybe I went to stream, and it might have been the other way around. Where things just kind of went my way. I don't know. Fraud just did fraud things.
Fraudulent things.
Very.
Yeah, you played Fabulosing on stream, and Fabulosing was on Ratcatcher, or Aquatis, the Ratcatcher Outcast.
I did not play Fabulosing on stream, did I?
No, it's Grishammer here. Sorry.
I think
I'm bouncing around trying to find the names.
What is his name? Castravari?
Castravir.
I know I played that on stream, and that did fraudulent things. I almost felt, it was so fraudulent, I kind of felt dirty afterward. I was like, that didn't even seem fun for him at all. I think that was the last game of the day. Weird story, not Swiss. Sealed went to a top 8 cut. They took us all the way to top 4.
Yeah, there's 4 40 players for sealed, right? So they kept us at a true top 8 cut. When we showed up for Archon, there was only 27 or 8 of us.
There were 26 players for Archon.
And yeah, so
They went to a top 4 cut, and you'll notice a trend
Yeah.
as we move into.
So
as we move through the
boys,
days.
I know I bounced out apparently because I lost Discord.
Mhm.
Where did I leave you off here?
We don't know.
We moved on.
We're already through. But we are
Well-
going to the JW Marriott right now.
Oh,
Where we met up with. I forgot who we met
Did
up
you-
with.
did you
Sydney's
hear me
crew
talk
again.
about Fire Spray?
Yep.
And
He was your net arch nemesis all weekend.
Yep.
he was Lavinus Scam
Yep.
and Sydney.
Yep. Heard it all.
Okay. So the only other thing that I had is it did, I wasn't used to this from Roseville, but I got to play Second Amber. So I played Second Amber with the Papa, and we had a blast there. And I will tell you, one of the funniest games happened because he had his new little pet deck, and he had Key Forgery out, and I had an ability to purge 1 artifact. So I made the choice to go ahead and purge the Hologramophone. And Key Forgery ended up on the final turn.
Making
was-
a difference.
It actually mattered. And so
Hey,
I
did
had
we
to
get
call.
a weekend Key Warrior? Or is that only for Vault Tours?
I think it's a Vault Tour thing.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that, but I
and
mean,
to be honest, the only day that Second Amber fired at all was sealed, and I got a game in myself. And then after that, it didn't look like Second Amber really fired at all. But that's partly how few people there were.
yeah, Second Amber did fire on both Thursday and Friday, but there was only roughly 4 on sealed, and there were 2 or 3 of us on Friday.
And it's Gen Con. I mean, if you're out of the tournament, there is a lot of interesting things to go do. So
Correct. And that was part of the feedback is hopefully for the future, just the cost of Gen Con, putting it in a very, very different venue. I still think that GG needs to have presence at Gen Con for their booth, but it would be much more advantageous, in my opinion, to be able to run 1 sealed event. And that 1 sealed event would probably be your draw, and that's it. It should not be where Nationals is held.
or just be running sealed pods all day. If you got enough of a draw, people.
Yeah. We go back to the JW Marriott. Well, I think we went back to visit Steve again.
Of course,
We
we had to
go-
go see Steve.
We went back to
I
the
mean-
JW Marriott. Yeah, you mean?
Oh no, that's when Dan came. No, that was Thursday when Dan came and was messing with me when I was trying to demo stuff.
Yeah.
I think you guys
You mean the first
in
moment
and,
the first
wanted to check
time
out
that,
some grinder and the Stompy robots over in the Battletech area.
but wasn't that literally you had just started? This was within the first 10 minutes of you doing your first shift with actual people leading it, and then Sheep's already trying to mess with you?
It was like it was in the second hour, but like basically 10 minutes in where I was like doing the lead demoing. So that was fun.
Sheep
That
causing
was a good
problems.
time.
Shocker. Sheep causing problems.
problems. Maybe was.
I don't remember. What did we do on Friday night? I know it's the JW Marriott. We met up with some of our Keyforge friends. I can't remember who we met up with.
Was that the night you guys had your scooter rally?
Well, we had
No, that was Saturday.
we had scooter rallies many days.
No,
Yeah.
Saturday I walked back with you.
No,
Nope.
you walked back the second time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Jumping
We'll
ahead,
get
sorry.
there. Yeah,
you
you're
wouldn't
jumping
know
ahead.
about our stories because you were a working stiff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Joker.
yeah.
A
good time.
I
Friday
remember
night is when they
Saturday-
played Ravine and a bunch of other games.
So I remember the pirate game. I don't remember what it was called. We were playing the pirate game where you drew the tiles from the bag.
Oh, that was Captain Flip.
Yep.
That was an interesting game.
Yeah, Captain Flip was actually up for Spiel de Jar, and very appropriate if you have littles. I actually brought it back. My 9 and 11-year-old played it. And when I say play, it is very, very quick. As gamers, that's a 10-minute game. With kids, easily, you can go ahead and teach the rules and have it finished in 20. So, interesting.
It's fun.
Well played.
It's amusing.
Yeah, Friday was a bit sad. I wasn't feeling 100%, so I was just kind of over in the corner wanting to go back. And
Well, that's okay because Sheep spent time and time out on Saturday. So
Yeah. But speaking of Saturday saw Alliance. How many people showed up to Alliance? 14?
I had 13 on
13.
here.
It might have been
be wrong,
13.
but 13.
13, and the whole you're still in it as long as you haven't lost twice. Well, there was someone who decided that one loss was enough, and they dropped after the first round. So we went from 13 to 12, which caused no end of headaches with the pairing system.
Oh, it caused a lot of headaches.
Well, they did make the decision to go ahead and they were going to play out Alliance, which is why those of us who could make top 8, and if you didn't make it all the way, they said that early on, before we started, they said with 13 players, we're going to go ahead and play to a final 2.
No, that is not what they said.
That is not what they
All
said.
right. Go ahead. Go ahead and recall.
So, yes, as they're saying, we had 40 players for sealed. They told us, we showed up, we played the top 8 as expected. Top 8 happening on Sunday.
Yes.
We're going to Archon. There's only 27 or 8 or whatever it is. So they tell us
26.
we're going to 26. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they tell us we're going to play to top 4, and we get to a top 4 cut on Friday. We show up with 13 players for Nationals Gen Con Alliance. Only 13 players. And they tell us we're going to play 2 LO all the way out and probably not finishing it today. But it's not super duper clear what's going on. But probably not finishing it out today.
And that's where I had heard the 2 LO to our final 2. So that's how I took it from the interaction.
No, it was definitely 2 LO all the way out until you're down to 2 players, and then that switches to a best of 3 format.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was going to be the finals on Sunday.
Regardless of how many lives either player had, it switches to best of 3.
Correct, but basically 2 LO until we get to 2. 2 will supposedly play out on Sunday.
Yeah. So we play and we play and we play and
hold on.
I get Ewok on stream on like game 2.
No, that was game 1, baby.
Game one. Sit down against Ewok on stream and he wallops me.
It was 3-1. This is what Control the Weak Screaming Cave can do. Boom.
It was bullshit.
Oh no, it was amazing. And it made me feel very good after Sheep going ahead and making it for top 8 for both Sealed and Archon. So
it was fun to commentate.
It felt great.
It was awful.
It was fun.
Grade A bullshit is what I heard.
Yeah, that's right.
Great commentary.
So he absolutely wasted me. That is definitely what happened there.
Well, it's okay. Game 2, I faced JGG 314. So sloppy work. There you go, man. On MM Control, and he's going first. And he mulliganed. He's got 3 Quixel and Eaton's Jar. He also has some other artifacts that become very, very important. Yep, he mulligans into his Eaton's Jar and calls Control the Weak.
So that's the end of your deck.
I actually do have a line. I had my Grassing Vines that was there. And it's a very, very long line, but I can basically...
Return
go
it
ahead.
To hand? Or no, return to
yes,
the deck?
But I have double phase shift, so I could go ahead and hold on to that with the double phase shift with the Chota and the Grassing Vine. Like, it's a long line. I'm not doing that. It's turn 1. I played it out. He promptly purged it. Great call. This game is done. This game was done when you played the Control. I don't have a hard R in that deck. I get key 1. He is going ahead and archiving, pushing for key 2. Universal Key Lock is brought out, and here's where the real call comes in. I make a call that he is actually pushing to go ahead and forge that key with 9. But the longer I wait, the more he's able to archive because he also has auto encoder out. And so we're looking back and forth. He has autoencoder. He also has...
You know the concede button's at the top right?
Nope. There is no concede button here,
Maximum
man. This
Keyforge
is
time.
nationals, and we're gonna roll with it. What is the MM card that you can archive a card, or you can pull a card out of your archives, and it will increase your key cost by +3?
Autoback.
Out of Eck.
That is what was played. So that actually was pretty important. We go ahead and we tax back and forth, and eventually we get down to his deck is in hand. There were 3 cards, and he just rule of 6 the 3 cards over and over to discard my hand and to go ahead and gain a whole bunch of amber, and then that was it. So it was up 2 keys to
steal.
1. There's nothing
he's
more.
blowing up a fiend to steal 1. It's got drop pip, and he's playing Implosion, which has a drop pip. So he's just looping in Mindfire with the drop pip. So the whole goal of that is auto encoder everything away, and then just get in this little loop where you force your opponent to discard their whole hand and steal 6 amber and clear the board. It's ugh.
Yeah. But it's very, 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 very slow.
I would have probably eaten that deck alive.
You would have.
But I didn't get to play it.
Yeah. So that is, I took the loss on there. It was pretty funny because we get to it. Like when you have someone who does the amount of work that JDG had done to get 3 cards.
Who likes maximum Keyforge time more? JDG Josh or Ewok?
Oh, I think that we were both enjoying it, man. Like when you can see the amount of work that goes into identifying that alliance and to be able to lean into it, to be able to actually execute it. He actually said, do you want to now see, after we had gone through 1 cycle, do you want to, or like as we were coming into the first cycle, he had played the first card, but he hadn't ruled of 6 them. And he's like, do you want to see this? And I said, yes. And I got laughed at by all these guys. Yes, like if someone has worked that hard to be able to purchase, I am giving them credit to be able to showcase what they did. And that's what Alliance can do. It was a complete destroyed effect. But hey, it was lovely. He forged his key. And when it came back to my turn, I had nothing. Like, here you go. And then after we got in the second key, I did concede for the third. So there you go, guys. I did concede, but that was just to save time. At this point, we were under, I think there were 5 minutes left. And I did tell him we had 11 minutes by the time he actually got to his seat. Now, I am playing super, super fast Coda. Like, boom, I play cards and I move on. I do think that a lesser player could have gone ahead and easily stalled for the win. I don't think that that's the right play, and I will stand by the decision not to do that. But JDG, after day 1, went down as the only undefeated person. So that was pretty cool. Round 3, I had a bye. And then round 4, I faced June. And June has had my number every time I've gone ahead and played her. So it was really nice to play her. She was playing her, what is it? The woe, make me woe.
Make it woe.
Make it so. I don't know. It's a make it so.
Yeah. But she didn't see her near future lens. She didn't see either. And like that game was over. I actually felt pretty bad. It was 3 keys to 0. So I made it in. I made it in to top 8. I faced Aviator. I actually ended up finishing 4th. But Aviator's deck that
you
game
mean
is
Frogleg's deck, right?
Yes, this is Frogleg's deck, and it is the DT beast that it is.
It's the true maximum Keyforge time, because that deck will, when it wins, will take half the time to play the 1 turn, so it maximizes your time with your friend.
Yes. So I knew what I needed to pull, and I needed to have Control of the Week, and I needed to play lots of Control of the Week. I did not get Screaming Cave or Control of the Week, so I mulliganed. And then I drew horribly. And you will find on stream that I made a lovely play because I now have 6 cards, and I look down and I go, I'm going to play 3 cards. And Aviator was so kind and looked across and goes, you know that you're going first and only get to play 1 card. And
after your third card.
Yep, after the third card. But I had shown Wild Wormhole, but I had not played it. So yes, I drew into it was pretty dead. And that also meant the other 3 discs were also pretty dead. And on the second turn, I did play the rest of that Logos, which was Wormhole. And that Wormhole did allow me to go ahead and play Scrambler Storm off of the Wormhole. And that's where my day ended, because that forced Aviator to actually wait a turn. Otherwise, he would have gone off on turn 2. But instead, he went off on turn 3. I played some miscellaneous disc creatures, which didn't matter. I didn't see Control the Weak at all. And yes, Lokakar, he did take probably about 8 to 10 minutes to play his turn. He was very efficient. I had no problem with that. But it was a sight to see, and he went off and he OTK'd on me. And that was the end of my day. My deck does not have the legs to be able to deal with him. But Sheep, you did have you did have some experience. Now,
I played games too, if anybody was curious.
I was going to say, should we do? Well, this is actually where I was going to lean into. Should we lean into Wookie, and you should tell us before we get to Sheep?
My day sucked. I don't know what you're talking about.
There, go ahead. Tell us about it.
I went 1 and 2. I beat up Sith. We had a mirror match of our match in Roseville. I never left House Saurian. Then June played her deck. That was very, very close. I think we were on stream for that one. That was pretty close. Couldn't get Scholar Spam to Scholar Spam, which is super frustrating. When you're the whole premise of your decks is to spam Scholars, and you can't spam Scholars. And then I played who did I play my last game?
Well, while you're thinking, I see Frog Legs in the audience, and man, I got to give you a shout out. That DT deck for Alliance is a beauty. It is a thing to be able to watch with so many out. So it is really neat to see what you put together. So well done there. Who was your third game, Wookie?
I played Aviator's Daughter.
Dragon Master.
Yep, and again, I could not get Scholar Spam to Scholar and or Spam. And but I did get Aviator a warning. Ha! I don't know if
Good job.
I don't know if that's winning at anything, but
no, it's not.
Yeah, at that point I promptly went to the convention hall to meet up with my old man. Because I was like, well, that's it for me.
And Lokakar, what did you decide to do?
Oh, after I scrubbed out as Archon, I was doing commentary the rest of the time.
Yeah, so
it's great because every time I watch you guys play at the local, I want to comment and talk about how you're making misplays or should have done this differently or something. And then I got to actually do it live, and you guys couldn't even hear me complain. So it was perfect.
Yeah, but you're just half a step above Mr. Perfect for crazy plays that make no sense.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and this is a problem. How?
I'm just saying, you commenting on my plays. I like to comment on your plays.
I didn't miss an EMP blast play.
Yeah, that's because you know better than to even try.
Well,
I will say, as someone who knows this game and can play,
we learned this weekend.
I still made plenty of mistakes, and I'm definitely human. So that is what I learned, and I think that it can go ahead and humble others. That doesn't matter how short a period of time you've been playing Keyforge or how long. The long tournaments, just your mental block for a split second can have an impact. It didn't really impact the game because that game was not in my favor, and I did not redraw. But it still feels bad when you should be playing one card and you're playing multiple. Mr. Steve, how did your event go while you were there Saturday? Because you were running some games, and then we'll get to Sheep, and then we'll come back to your late night game.
Yeah, so Saturday I worked a whole 4-hour or 8-hour shift. I did get a little break during my 8 hours, which was but in the night I got to play I play Battletech. I got a chance to play in their Masters and Minions event, which is only run at Gen Con. It's like their premier event where you get a chance to play against authors, artists, and game designers in that game. I signed up and got a chance to play against one of the line artists, Anthony Scroggins, which was a fun game. He is I was told it was going to be a casual game, but he is a very good and very strong player. Definitely knew what he was up to and had a plan set up. My teammates and I started out strong, kind of struggled near the end, and at the end, my Grasshopper, which everybody was kind of making fun of, the mech that I brought, ended up carrying the day for my team. So that was exciting. And that took us
Was it the mech
to
or your
midnight.
superior play?
I picked a mech that was short on battle value, and to balance me out, my mech got like bumped up to like John Wick levels of gunnery and piloting, and was just like there were rounds. I think the hardest thing I needed to
Were you
hit.
calling pulse lasers to the head?
No, I was not taking called shots, but like my hardest roll, I think all night long was a 5, and like there was a round where I needed 0s and 2s to hit things after I had knocked a mech down on the ground prone next to me. So
For frame of reference, you roll 2d6, basically meaning there's no way he could miss.
no, like it was basically
Twos are still a miss.
no, 2s are still a hit.
Are they in that system? I thought 2s were still a guaranteed
No,
miss.
there's no
critical hits.
There's no critical misses in that game.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was a good time. Went home with the one nice thing about the event, you go home with a mech. Mine had been expertly painted by a camo spec artist by the name of Crackerbox. The figure I got was actually a prototype, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. All right.
The guy who walked home with the best prize out of all of us in that car was the guy not playing Keyforge.
Yep.
That is accurate.
I feel like I won by not playing Keyforge.
That's not true.
No, we had. Okay, so
you
the number
were off all by yourself, not hanging out with the cool kids, so you did not win.
And working.
You did not join the scooter biker gang.
Yeah.
Well, even outside of this,
I missed out on that.
Even outside of the scooter biker gang, I had fun going ahead, and even though I went 0-2 seal, I still had fun talking to people, playing Keyforge. Friday for Archon, I had fun. Even with the numbers down, I enjoy the Keyforge crowd that's there. I enjoyed being able to play board games over at the JW Marriott. Like, I had fun this past weekend, boys. So I don't know. I can't go ahead and say it was all
Let me rephrase
depression.
that. I probably had more fun not playing Keyforge than somebody else that day.
Well, that day I agree with. So, Sheep, let's talk about your sadness. So I get knocked out, and there was a little bit of a problem because numbers. So give us a little backstory, and then where you jump in after both Dragon Master and I get knocked out.
Yeah, so there is round whatever. I think it's
5.
round 4. 5?
Yeah,
So
round 5. I just lost the Aviator in round 5.
Okay, so there's round 5, and there are 5 of us left. There's myself, there's Ewok, Aviator, Dragon Master.
Oh, that would be 7 at that point.
I thought there was 5 at that.
They got to the point there was 5.
Yeah.
There was 5.
After
there was
round
5 at this point.
No,
With
but
you
after
going in.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
There's
yes.
5 of them. It's Aviator and you, and then Allie was playing JDG.
Yep.
And I had the bye. So at this point in the tournament, I get one of the luckiest buys you can have because I'm just getting a free pass into the top 4, which is better prizes, and I don't even have to play. This also happened for top 8. Somebody got a free pass in their top 8. This also happened in Archon, where somebody just got a buy into the prizey rounds there too, which to me seems
Wrong.
not great, right? To be like, yeah, randomly you get prizes and the rest of you don't. That's why the top cut is supposed to be a hard cut and everybody's supposed to play to get in, and they got rid of the the meteor from space eliminating people, and it's always play-in rounds now for top cuts. But that doesn't happen when there's prizes, but the top cut doesn't match the number of prizes. It gets kind of messy. So I get a bye into top 4. We're watching what's going on. Dragon Master is not a good match into JDG. She is not playing a deck with artifact control. They have routes. They had thought about this game. There is a way she can win it, but it's not a very favored match. So they're talking to GG staff, and I'm like, so this is now going to play out. The way this plays out is, in theory, now until the games are over, it's not over. But
played.
JDG is probably going to win, and then either Aviator or Ewok wins. It's messy if Ewok wins, because then both Ewok and I have had a bye. So we're not actually fully certain what happens in their system in that situation. Supposedly it just goes to random bye.
Well, I'd also played all 3 other players at that point.
That also doesn't matter.
Well, if you're undefeated in their system, you cannot get a bye except in the first round.
That is not true. Not true.
That's how it's currently coded.
No,
well,
you are wrong what you're saying, Wookie.
Okay,
And
so
I will explain what they did, and they did not. It's not a buy. They changed to top cut.
Correct.
Which
so
is not a buy.
What I was told is that they have a contingency because this does affect me too, and we'll get into that in a little bit. What I was told is the contingency is that the undefeated gets the bye, and the 2 lesser seeds are now pitted against each other.
Yeah, but that's a top cut. That's not a buy.
Call it a buy. Call it a top cut. Call it what you want to call it.
The sad reality is, Wookie, that we were told we were going to play with our early understanding to essentially the top 2. This now becomes almost impossible with what's there.
We were told weeks ago we were going to be playing till a top 8.
Top 8. Correct. And that was my understanding coming into Gen Con, which made it a real pain that if you made more than one top 8, you had to basically choose. But that changed again.
But did you?
No. And this is my frustration, and was other individuals as well, that we have to clearly communicate what's going to happen.
Well,
there should also be a clear communication of what prizes are available, and then we should follow through with that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because you can communicate clearly, but if you don't follow through, what was the point of the communication?
Well, I can show my frustration here. It really had very little impact because I lost. It had an impact because they didn't know where to actually seed me or where to put Allie and myself at the end. That's a whole nother story. But Sheep, this is Worlds. This is Worlds again. And I actually just re-listened to the episode, the recast with Sydney, you, and Wookie after we got back from Worlds. And you're talking about how this would be fixed. And we were hoping for that. And man, we're 9 months later and it's not fixed. This is a train wreck and a half, because you can see exactly what's going to happen. My deck is not paired to deal with Frogleg's deck. Allie's deck was not paired to deal with JDG. JDG ends up finishing undefeated because JDG did not end up facing... JDG did not face you, Sheep, correct?
Correct.
And so that has an impact. Anyway, it's real bad. You got 3 individuals. What is GG? Because GG then goes ahead from my perspective. They talk to each person they talk to judging first. Then they went ahead and talked to each of the 3 people who are still left, between Aviator, between Sheep, and between JDG. I'm going to tell you, as someone who is looking for transparency, man, bring the 3 of them together in your judging staff. Judging staff was a great call. Talk to them first. But after that, bring judging staff and the 3 of them over. Hey, here's what's happening. Make a decision. It's bad. But be clear, concise what's going to happen, and make sure everyone's on the same page at that point. But, Sheep, tell us what happened.
Okay, so like what's going on at this point in the tournament with 3 of us left is I just had a bye. So Aviator had not had a bye. So because we were told it was supposed to be 2 LO out, the way their program would have worked is I would have played JDG. I think, reasonably favored in that game. So say I win it. Then JDG's in the X1 bracket, so he gets the bye. Then I have to play Aviator, and JDG essentially is getting a bye into the final 2 in that case. So I'm not actually all that upset with they changed. They're like, you know what? We're down to 3. Instead of playing 2 LO out anymore, we're just going to go to top cut now. JDG, you're in, you 2 guys play. Right? Which, not what we were told we were playing. I think in this particular situation, it works out very similarly, but it is what it is. But like Ewok was saying, they pull us each to the side privately, right? So it's me, it's Jeremy, it's Josh, it's Marcus, and it's G, right? And they're basically asking me, what am I going to do if I win this Alliance game because I'm qualified and sealed and Alliance? And I tell them, I'm like, well, what I want to have happen is I want to go with this sealed. No, I was on Archon.
You're out at Archon. Okay.
I
You
was
made
fifth.
top. You had 5th.
I was 5th in Archon, yeah. So I told them, well, what I want to have happen is I want to win this Alliance game, and then I'll just concede to the other person, right? Take that invite and go play in sealed. And they're just kind of looking at me, and they're not saying, okay. They're like, well, what are you going to do if you have to pick? And I'm like, well, if I have to pick and I win Alliance, then I'm just going to play Alliance and take the guaranteed invite. It's not what I want to do, but I'm like, if I have to pick one and I win Alliance, which I hadn't done yet at that point, and I'm like, I would take the guaranteed invite if I could only do one thing, right? And they're like, okay. And then we break apart. I'm like, I'm leaving this little conference under the assumption that I still can only play in one event on Sunday, right? They definitely did not tell me, yes, you can concede. You could, in theory, because I specifically asked, can I go for qualifications in both? And they didn't actually say yes or no. They were just kind of cagey and said, what are you going to do if we force you to pick? So I took that as, you're only going to play in one. Because I asked the question, and I did get an answer. And the answer I'm going off of is still the one that Josh gave us on when everybody was asking him after the event was announced, is like, what happens when you qualify for multiple? And it was a clear answer. You can play in a single event on Sunday. So that's the assumption I'm going in with. So they changed it to top cut. So I'm playing Aviator immediately. This is fine. But what is also going in my head here is, if Aviator wins this Alliance game, right, he is going to stick with Alliance because he's an Alliance player mostly. And then he doesn't play in Sealed, where I am also bracketed. And because of the way the brackets work, and we already played the day before, we also actually know Aviator is paired against Wookie for Archon Finals. So if he wins, it's generally good for me. And if I win, okay, I have the Alliance win and it's okay, right? If you watch that game, I'm not very serious from the minute we sit down. Right? I'm clowning for the camera. I'm goofing off because the results really don't matter. I'm already guaranteed to be able to play in Sealed. Alliance is just a faff for me anyways, right? Like, it is. So we start the game, we're playing, and I pull an epic punt where I forget to EMP blast before I played my first key abduction while he has Ceaseforge out. And then the deck fails to loop to key abduction 4 times to let me win that game. It then goes to his turn, and Aviator's playing out his loop out turn. And he goes and he wastes not onto his Mushroom Man and draws cards, right? And he draws Mushroom Man's 8 power, 9 power?
No, he'd be 9 power because it's +3 for each unforged key, and then it's
so
space power.
He's drawn 5 cards or something. He starts drawing, he's moving them into his hand, and then Marcus realized, and it was Marcus, neither of us realized. Marcus realizes, hey, you just forged a key, the Mushroom Man isn't that strong, you shouldn't draw that many cards. And then Marcus is like, well, I think it's these cards, and he's just picking some cards from his hand. And then they're kind of looking at me like, well, what are we going to do? Because there are currently no actual rules for overdraw. And I was just like, fine. I took the cards that he overdrew. I shuffled them. I threw them back on his deck, and I said, just draw the right number of cards because I don't care about the results of this game at all. And then he finishes his loop out. The DT deck does the DT deck. He forges the rest of his keys, and he wins the game that turn, which is fine, right? I punted. He played his turn well and won. Like, I'm not that upset with the game in that regard. And then, so we're finishing. I'm like, so, Aviator, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, I'm going to concede Alliance, get that invite, and play in Sealed. And I lost it. I was really, really angry. Because I asked the question if that was allowable, and they didn't say no, but they didn't say yes. So I'm playing under totally different expectations of the results and what's actually going to happen. And I don't know. I can't say. If I actually sat down in that game serious, it doesn't mean I don't miss that because I actually missed an EMP blast earlier that day too. So that wasn't in my head well that day. But I don't know if I was sitting down serious at that game, if I didn't play it better. Because otherwise, if I used the EMP blast, I won that game because I did play key abduction 3 times that turn. All of them 4 keys. But I didn't.
Well,
right. So
the first one with.
But my mindset is critical, which I was not sitting to that game with a super serious mindset. And I punted it, and that's the end of it. But then when like Aviator is playing under different expectations than I'm playing under, in an event that has already changed how it's being run 3 times just for that event. You were going to run top 8. No, we're not. We're going to run 2 LO. No, we're not. We're going to change to a weird top cut thing at the end of the event. It's just like, are you kidding me?
And then, part of the reason, Sheep, that they had to go ahead and run that is that after one round,
I know
with 12 players,
they had all bad decisions. I understand they didn't have good decisions, but like this isn't the first time they've run a crappy tiny tournament count wise, right?
Correct.
Saying crappy in regards to our turnout. Our turnout was bad for Alliance, right? This is not the first time they've done that and had to deal with these problems. This is also not the first time they've tried to run things where people can cross-qualify, and they have to deal with that. And they still were not ready to deal with any of those problems, even though we've had them at almost every Vault Tour.
I agree with that. The 2LO just does not work with a small player count, and they have to learn from this. They have to. It was
trash. But then it gets even dumber in the situation because this now impacts Sunday's play. Because Aviator does get to sort of concede Alliance, but not really concede Alliance. I don't know. He gets to play in Sealed the next day, right? And then he's dropping out of Archon. So how does that impact Archon? Because Archon's top 4, they have 4 players. It's undefeated Grishhammer versus the Scholar Spam. Sorry, I don't remember your name. And then it's undefeated Aviator versus Wookie. That is the bracket, right? So there's the way the bracket is supposed to work with the top 4 cut is there's no guarantee anybody gets a Worlds invite. But what did they do instead, Wookie?
So Josh comes to me. So we're sitting there all figuring it out. Josh comes to me and he's kind of chewing the fat, and he's like, "All right, well, we do. I am here to tell you that you do need to play, and I am playing. I believe it was the Scholar Spam deck. So basically, what I was told is the contingency in this moment, for in the event that this happens, is that the undefeated gets." What are we calling? We're going into this contingency. I'm still going to call it the bye. The undefeated gets the bye.
They get pushed to the top cut.
Right, and the two with a loss have to play. And I kind of was like, I know.
So in the Alliance situation, it was kind of a crappy mess, and I don't think it really impacts the final results that much. But in your situation, they played to a top 4 with clear expectations of what's to happen, and then the organizers changed the event to decide who gets a free Worlds invite. by them changing it, they are picking who gets the world's invite, which is not how tournaments are supposed to work. The organizers should not be making decisions that impact the results of the event in that way, right? Like, the players are going to do things, they're going to wreck your tournament, and the players have to deal with what they did. But for the organizers to go in and be like, well, now we're just going to grant this guy the free in, and you guys have to play, even though that it was not what was on the paper, designed the whole weekend, is garbage.
Oh, we also found out that unlike vaults, where only the top player makes it in, for all nationals, 1 and 2 make it in, which is why this matters even more. So
Yeah,
have fun there.
Yeah, so it is.
I mean,
like,
we've said this, but without.
They said on that one, for both of those, they're like, you two are guaranteed top cutting to World's Invite.
Yep.
And you don't even have to play for it. You're just here. There you go. You have earned the World's Invite because we didn't format our event in a way that actually makes you play to it. It was just beyond unreasonable, in my opinion, right? Like, clearly I was pretty upset because, again, I feel like this is like, I went to Vegas, ran okay, Texas actually ran okay this year, but I feel like every Vault tour I went to last year, I came back being like, oh my gosh, this was run in a way that did not seem adequate or correct. And obviously, coming out of Worlds, I very much had that feeling that they punted that event for making it understandable and clean. So this event was by far the worst I've been to.
So unfortunately, they didn't clean up the problem from 9 months ago. And then number 2, this is a very expensive event, which is why multiple players who normally would be coming out for the vaults simply said, no, we're not willing to invest the money. There were individuals who actually stopped by to say hi to Keyforge players, but are like, I'm playing in other events versus what you actually see here. I have to say, go ahead.
There were players who also stopped by and were saying, I didn't play this because I didn't want to play double elimination like it was last year. Yeah. So they have also failed
to communicate,
to get out the information meaningfully to players that were not playing under the truly bad double elimination system. And now we're just under the interestingly bad at small player count 2LO system.
I hear that. I'm still worried, guys. We have 26 for Archon. That's the lowest player amount that I've ever seen. 13 for Alliance. Like, this was not good. And Sheep, I mean, you went into one.
And hold on, let's talk about that here in 2 seconds. We're going to take a tiny break, okay?
You're in the corner. Here we go.
All right, we're back. Go ahead. So we're
all right. So Sheep, the look on your face at this point, seeing everything implode, went ahead and sent Sheep into sadness that I had not seen since Worlds last year. And it was not good. I tried to talk just to be able to have a conversation with some of the GG players, GG employees, and other players who were there.
I almost throttled you.
Oh, dude, you gave me a look that if you could have force choked me, you were force choking me across that lot, and you took off. And then I'm like, oh,
I was
no.
done. I was like, if you're going to keep wasting time, like, the problem is you were having the same conversation we'd already had. And, like, this is another place. I'm telling you, I think what really triggered me on this was just like being at work, where I was like, you do see what's going to happen here. And they go, no, everything's going to be great. We're going to ignore all these problems. And then it happens exactly as you described it's going to happen. And then you're just like watching the mess, and you're just like, and they're just like, everything's fine. And you're like, this is not fine.
The biggest problem that I'm this is the same thing that literally happened in November. We've had all this time to fix this problem, and we just went, well, that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
And then it happens again.
Speaking of, the app did work for the most part. throughout the tournament, the 3 tournaments. They did have a
Except
couple.
for the
They did have a couple.
crash and start of Archon.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. They did have some glitches, so I know Archon was one of those, but overall, no major issues. I will say playing
The
on
app didn't crash. It was they were familiar enough to know where to go to fix it. Once they called Francisco, then they were like, "Oh, it's this button and this button." Okay, done.
Got
You're not
No
supposed to give
no
away the
comment.
background details.
Yeah, no comment. For 4 to 6 weeks, but we have we don't have that many players. We need to be able to slim up the registration time. We need to get to playing. We need to be able to know that with a small player count that it's not going to implode when we get to the finals. As I said earlier, you cannot go ahead and have a top 8 cut with 13 players just with the 2 LO. It
Sure you
really
can.
wrecks. No,
It takes 2. It takes 3 rounds, and we could have had a top 8 cut.
okay. I did
Actually,
not. I
going
did
to
not
a-
actually see
Going to
that.
a top 8 cut with 13 players is actually faster than playing out 2 LO. Because after 3 rounds, you should be to 8 players, I think, right? Because you're
Yeah.
13, so
Well,
then you're
but we
going to have
dropped one.
6, and then you're going to have 3. You're going to have 3, so then you're down to 10. At least 4 of those players are X and 1, so the bottom floor have to play. Bam, you're to top 8, 3 more rounds, done.
But that's what you're talking
6 rounds
about is
total.
those 2. Yeah.
So I guess it's about this. It ends up being about the same number of rounds as we ran.
But
Oh,
the biggest problem is still Sunday. Like you still have players that are gonna make top 8 in all 3, and that they gotta make a choice on what they're gonna play in.
Well, I can go ahead and say congrats to Aviator and Dr. Sheep for making top 8 in all 3 events. So way to go,
Woo!
guys.
Ooh,
3-peat.
we really messed this up.
Well, Aviator
good.
made top cut in all of them too,
Yeah. Top 4.
and top 2.
Yeah, Sheep,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
second.
Well, and then the crazy thing, and I don't know how they actually prized it in the end or what the article is going to say, but
prizing.
after Aviator went out and sealed, they let them play the Alliance finals.
Yeah.
Like, so not only after being told you can only play in one, then they actually let them play both.
Well, I know that you're upset about this.
What the hell?
I know you're upset about this, but I am frankly appreciative that they played out that game because the top game because frankly to have a finals where you didn't play is just pathetic. And I will say that.
Also,
don't mess that
true,
up,
but like message sent, actions performed, deviations. Just
yes.
Unbelievable.
All right, so we're on Sunday, but here, Sheep Sadness really was Sheep Depression. I'm going to go ahead and put this. Man, you were off.
I was done with everything and everybody.
Okay, so I went. We did go through the hall. I don't know where, dude. You vanished, Sheep. I don't know where you went. I reached.
He went
out.
to go get his dog game.
No.
Everything you needed for it.
This was before
I had
Dog
to go
Bag.
drop off frickin' Steve's giant map.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But
So
like,
we
you
had
didn't
a
respond.
scooter halfway across the country with a 6-foot long tube.
I forgot about the big fucking map.
It was a BFM.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
fam.
good, actually. If you see it laid out, it's really nice.
Yeah, try
Yeah, it
scooting.
is. That's-
Try scooting
That's
with
what
that
they all
baby.
say.
This mat, boys and girls, does not actually fit across Sheep's trunk, just being parallel. We had to actually turn it in a diagonal to fit it in. It was that big.
It's a BFM.
It was a BFM.
It's
But-
a 4x6
exclusive.
map, but they roll it the 6-foot way, I think. It's weird.
Yeah. But
I don't
anyway,
know. All I know
Sheep,
is that you
Sheep
and I
was
ended alone, and I was like, man, how did we end up alone?
so Wookie, you and I go back to the hall, and Sheep is gone. We message him. I'm actually kind of worried.
Yeah, I'm not bothering to reply to you guys
Oh
anymore.
no. He would not respond. I mean, I'm telling you, if he could force choke me, he would have. I would have been dead. Just dead. DED. Dead.
If he had cared enough, he might have really choked you, but you were at least 30 feet away.
did. Yeah. So after talking with the employees, we come out. It is like 4:30, and we're gonna hit the 2800s all the way to the east side.
On the 9 to 3 p.m. event.
Yes, a 9 to 3. It's 4:30 again, and this did impact. Like I know Eric Waters at least had to drop. There were other individuals that had to drop from different events. This was Archon, but a time's got to mean something, especially at Gen Con when there's other things.
I
that are
knew
happening.
enough not to schedule anything else.
Yeah, but anyway, Wookie,
Yeah.
you and I, we're gonna head back. We're in the hall. We hit the little boys' room. We come out and we're in the back, and Sheep is depressed. Sheep.
Trying to
We don't
find
know where
Sheep.
he is. We're trying to find him. You're like, hey, I really want this game. So
Yes.
I bring out my phone and things get a little
I
weird.
couldn't remember the name of the game. So we're in the back, and I'm like, I think it's this. Maybe it's this. I still don't remember the name of the game. If I told my wife, she would remember. But you couldn't buy it anyways. So
The name of the game is Sasquatch Brings Out the Crazies.
that's
No.
right.
It was murder. It was based on the TV show Murder.
Only murderers in here.
Yes.
Something like that.
Okay.
Murders
I'm
in
on
the
my
building.
phone.
Yes, only murderers in the building. That's exactly what it was. You couldn't buy it there. You had to buy it on Amazon. And I was like, that's dumb. But it is what it is. So we're on our phones, and I feel someone touching me. And when you're in a crowd of people, it's not overly strange. But then again, we're in the back of the hall where, like, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is where the losers hang out, right? Like, this is...
No. This was not the losers.
This was the
And I
losers'
will
lounge.
I will tell you, long before you actually got tapped, there were two individuals who were over on the side who were at a distance, probably about 8 to 10 feet away.
They were eyeing that Wookiee.
But they were
Casing
eyeing the Wookiee. They
is the
waited.
term.
They
Now-
waited.
Back it up. Did somebody mention what he was wearing that day?
We have not mentioned the Sasquatch in a pink flamingo floaty. That's what I'm wearing.
And what did you say about this sweet, sweet Hawaiian shirt
So
that you
when I came out, Sheep immediately made fun of me because that's what Sheep does.
I did not make fun of you.
You
He is
had made
always making fun of
he
people.
had made a comment, okay? Whether
Yeah,
it was making
I
fun or not,
Certainly would have done that.
he had made a comment, and I said, listen, this shirt gets the bitches.
Swear jar.
This is at 9:30. No, what? This is before that. We're still at the campsite.
7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the
Yeah,
morning.
campground.
So yeah,
It
somebody
was too bright for that early in the morning. That's all I know.
Somebody is now touching me at a convention. And
And it wasn't me.
And it wasn't Sheep. I turn to find a young lady in a Ghostbusters costume. And she says, I really like your shirt. What was it? I really like your shirt. It reminds me of my dad because he's a big, hairy man. Can I take a picture? And I'm like, okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. So she snaps a picture, and then her friend that is with her, also in some sort of cosplay.
She was Japanese anime, like
Some kawaii type.
preppy. Yeah.
Yes. And she's like, oh, I like pink too because Ewok is wearing his pink AC jersey. She's like, as you can see, and all she has is a pink purse. And I'm like,
And
all
kind
right.
of like flips it up.
Right, like, oh, see? And flips it and shows JR that, yes, her purse is indeed pink. And at this point in time, I think nothing of it. I'm just like, well, that was a weird interaction.
It was weird, and we brush it off, and we go tour the rest of the hall.
We go tour the rest of the hall. Finally find Sheep. Is that when we picked up home wreckers? What is it called? Shipwreckers?
No, Moonrakers.
Moonrakers.
Goodness.
I was close. Which
Homewrecker.
Yeah, we ended up going ahead and kind of sneaking over where Moonrakers was. We asked John. You had actually told us kind of the rules. I said I want to play this like a hand going through, and so we waited, and they showed us the rules, and then we ended up playing a hand. And this is just as 6 o'clock is coming up on Saturday.
So we finally all come together. We have found our sheep.
He's in the corner of the JW Marriott.
No. We
depressed
found him
and
before
sad.
that. I'm trying to find.
Oh, no, I was talking to my buddy Eric who plays Mech Warrior. And so I trying to be able to help encourage, and I was gone for probably an hour. So that's where you probably ended up finding him.
Yeah. Somehow, that is exactly how it was, because you were still there, and Sheep's like, basically goes, fuck this, I'm going to the JW. Are you coming or no? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come. So we walk over, we take the little walkways over.
Do-do-do-ch.
And Sheep immediately just goes to the corner and just sits there. Just does not want to talk to anyone.
Oh,
I
yes.
was leaving my game.
Yes.
Okay.
So as soon as we had gotten Moonraker, Sheep came over. He did find us, but he found us with his dog park
the
game.
dog park game.
Yeah.
I went for some retail therapy.
That works.
Game with pictures of puppies. Make myself feel better.
Did it help?
It didn't hurt.
Either way, Sheep is not having any of the good party time that we're gonna have.
Oh no.
So
Sheep, sad, depressed Sheep, man.
this was all a thing. Because Sheep's now like, I'm going back to the campsite.
Yep.
And I was
thinking,
like,
all you losers.
Yep, he's like, I'm going back to the campsite. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be with people. I don't want to see any of you. I'm going back to the campsite.
And it's Sheep's car, so he flips me the keys and says, I'll take an Uber, I'll do whatever. You get them home. Because we're waiting for Steve, who's going to be playing an event until midnight.
I definitely did not have the social energy in me to deal with people until midnight.
So at this point, I'm like, what should I do? And I think I'm talking to Sydney, I'm talking to JR. One's telling me that he's a big boy, he can handle himself. The other's telling me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the good friend thing. I'll go hang out with him in his puppy game.
Dude,
whatever.
he did not want any of us there.
I
he
will
was
use
like,
the.
I got the memo. She was like, I don't like people. I don't like people talking to me or being around me. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
Well,
he's like, don't you come with me. I will get home and you're fine. You just stay here.
Well,
like
at this point,
he
I'm
didn't
like,
want us leaving at all.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just use the excuse of like, I'm hungry because I hadn't eaten yet. And I need to find food. And so we all scooter back to the car.
The best scooter ride of the whole weekend. I'm telling you, I'm hitting a scooter next time I'm at Gen Con if I go.
I told that's the way to go. Because that was pretty awesome. I knocked down a road sign. It hurt.
We were flying as a scooter gang, the three of us.
Mhm.
True fact, I am a faster scooterer than all of these two.
That's debatable.
We outweigh you significantly.
Yep.
That's
That's what I hear is that you're slower than my scootering ability.
And all of our scooters are at different levels of charge.
All of these excuses, but I ended up making it back first. I did run into Sheep at the very ends because he abruptly stopped, and I abruptly stopped into him.
Mine didn't have any brakes, so I almost hit someone.
It was a great time.
So we get
I'm
to the
sad I
car,
missed
we
out.
go all the way back to the campsite, and Sheep's basically just goes, fuck off. Like, get out of here. I want to be and at that point, I'm like, okay, he really wants to be left alone.
I had made myself perfectly clear from the start.
I got the memo.
I tried to encourage him that we could get food. We could stop at the Dirt Stripper or the Real Strip Club. And man, Sheep wanted no part in this. He is like, I want to go ahead and sleeve my doggy game. I'm going to listen to a book on tape, and I don't want to be by anybody.
I'm going to bed.
Guys didn't even stop at the VFW.
No.
The VFW next to us was
They're
actually
packed.
open with beer. I did scream out that we could go get beer there. No. I was shot down so many times.
So me and Ewok we end up Jack in the Box.
Yeah, dude, Jack in the Box was slow, but they were good for you, man.
They were good to me. So I got my Jack in the Box. I'm happy. We scooter back to the JW. And Ewok goes, want a beer? And I'm like, I got to play tomorrow. I really shouldn't drink.
And I talked him into this because I needed a beer, and it was a great time to have a beer on Saturday night.
So I get a beer. Well, I got a old fashioned.
No, you got a mixed drink.
And we go back up and we start to play Moonrakers, Mooncrashers, whatever it is.
Rakers.
Moonrakers.
Really
Chris
fun
Steele,
game.
Chris Steele, Lokakar, and I loved that game, man. We were all over it.
I was a big fan. Just Chris's and John's turns take forever.
Ooh, do you hear that?
Forever.
Maybe because they're good and you're
He was
bad.
just mad because he was like, all right, I need this help. And Chris and Ewok are like, oh, we can do this, but we can't do that. And
I was
Wookie
made
looks at me and
promises
says,
of help
we
I was
don't need
given.
you. And I'm like, all right, fine. You don't need me. And then they could proceed to completely whiff it because Wookie didn't listen to anybody and thought he didn't
No,
need me. So
I
that was
fine
quite
with
amusing.
it. It was literally like their turns were taking 30 minutes a crack.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
Not at all. The whole game only lasted an hour and a half, Wookie.
So somebody went
We
and
got
got
3 turns.
yeah, somebody went and got more alcohol, and I'm
Well,
like,
so what happened is Ewok set himself up to go hunt things, and he bursted up to 1 point away from winning, and Wookie's like, all right, I'm out. And that's when everything got really fun and interesting, but and different and interesting for Wookie in a different way.
well, somebody was like, oh, I'm going to the bar, and I was like, oh, can you get me another beer? I'm out because my drink was pure brandy. There was no old or fashioned in there. That was just brandy on ice with a little bit of sugar.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't think she knew how to make an old fashioned. She just put brandy in a cup. So their turns are taking for so damn long, and I'm like, I gotta piss. I gotta pee. So I go into the 3rd floor bathroom. That place is booked. Like there are people, there's a line. And I'm like, all right, well, screw that. I know where another bathroom is downstairs. So I go downstairs, and who do I find but my friend from the vendor hall, Ghostbuster girl.
Ghostbusters.
Who are you gonna call?
Not the Ghostbusters. Anyways, so little chit chat. I'm contrary to popular belief, I can be nice, social. How's I'm a drink and a half in, so I'm really social. Not really social, but a social enough. And
Especially with that old,
especially with what?
your old fashioned
Oh yeah,
or straight brandy.
it was just straight brandy. And it basically ends. A little bit of small talk. How's the con? Everything going good? You enjoying it? Having fun? Yada yada. So on and so forth. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta pee. You guys have a good one. And I decide to break away. And I think we're done at this point. I'm wrong because I turn around and she's still there, following me into the men's restroom. And I'm like, hi, can I help you? And she's like, yeah, I'm coming to help you. And I'm like, excuse me? And we get into a little banter, and turns out she wanted to help your boy the Wookiee in the bathroom. And we have to part ways at that point. Have a little interesting conversation. I'm not going to disclose here, but I've parted ways, and now I'm like, holy shit, this day has just gone from bad to worse. What is going on?
And you're like, why am I telling you,
Why I'm
Ghostbuster girl, anything? Like, I just met you.
I've told some. I said some things, and I'm like, why am I telling you any of this? Like, what is going on? Like, I've clearly had too much to drink already. I'm only a drink and a half in, but I need to just. I don't know why I'm telling you any of this. So again, we part ways. I use the little boys' room, and now it's time to go back upstairs because I'm gonna finish that beer.
Hey, did somebody help you or no?
No, nobody helped me.
Okay. just
I
thought
helped myself.
uh,
That might have.
I thought,
We might
maybe
want to
shake
change
it off.
that. Nope, there was no shaking. But I'm like, I'm gonna go finish this beer. I'm like, first sheep, now this. What? This day can't get much weirder.
It was a Saturday night, man.
It's a Saturday night, and I'm like, this day can't get much weirder.
Saturday at Gen Con.
So I go.
Just wait.
I go and I explain to everybody upstairs, and they're all just laughing at me.
Yes, part in shock too. Like, what?
Was this the time of the great Sprite debacle of 2024?
Yes, this is when you sprayed your sticky
My
liquid all
sticky
over
liquids.
Cindy's friend.
It was a Sprite. It was Sarah with an H. I might have covered her in Sprite. May or may not have happened. We don't know. Jury's still out on that one. It happened. I don't know who shook my Sprite, but somebody did. So I'm like, all right. So I pound my beer too, and I'm like, I'm going downstairs to get another drink. And I'm like, man, just weird. I was like, as I'm riding the escalators, I was like, man, weird fucking day. And I was like, GG fucked up. I'm like, well, no surprise there, but God, this is fucking strange. And I get down to the bar, and I'm talking to the bartender, and oh boy, I seem to have found my friend again.
The ghosts attack again. Ghost Galaxy and Ghostbuster.
So at this point, I have decided. I'm asking the bartender to kind of hurry this along, please. There is somebody I am trying to avoid in here.
Will you meet my dad?
And I don't remember if I told you guys this, but I actually turn around. Because I am convinced that if I turn around, she won't see me. Right? In my head, this is a real thing that's happening. Like, if I turn around, she won't see my face. She won't know I'm there.
Did you change your shirt?
No.
So
that won't help.
Oh, Wookie.
You can see him across the exhibit hall in that shirt.
I'm a couple in, and drunk me says this is a great idea. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just turn around. Nobody'll see me. And then she comes up to me. She's gonna buy me those drinks, and she wants me to meet her hairy father. Or what do you call it, Sheep?
Somebody else, I'm pretty sure Steve pointed out, it would have been her pimp.
Yes. So,
no, maybe.
Probably.
Sugar daddy?
Maybe. I don't know. But either way, she's buying me my drinks at this point, and like, me and the bartender have made eyes at each other. He's like, oh, I get, like, he finally gets it, because like at first he didn't understand. I'm like, hey, I just kind of need to go. And I don't know if he thought like I was trying to pull a fast one on him somehow, some way. And I was like, whatever. And now he finally gets it, because we have locked eyes, and the stare of death of, I don't want to be here, right? I need the booze that you're about to give me, but I don't want to be here right now, has locked in. We've all gotten that face. So she ends up paying for my drinks, and I'm just like, yeah, no. But thanks for the drinks, and I run back upstairs.
And you hand me the beer, and you're like, you'll never guess who I ran into.
Who we're into again.
And I didn't even know about the second time, so I was just flabbergasted. It was
and I'm just like, this is weird.
Catastrophic.
And then I think Local Car was like, didn't you tell her where you were? And I'm like, oh shit, I did. And I'm like, there's a lot of people in here. And then they're like, your shirt, and I'm like, yeah, it did work for me the first time. Because of that damn shirt.
Didn't you also tell her why you were at Gen Con and what you were doing?
I did. But luckily, there were no more sightings.
Which is too bad, because I think I'm more upset about missing Saturday night than I am about the Keyforge, because that's almost expected now.
Well, you also missed that in the JW Marriott, it was really difficult to get a table or chairs. So
a lot of I forgot. We almost got arrested.
No, it's not arrested. Okay,
you would have gotten arrested, 100%.
Thrown out.
No.
You would have gotten thrown in the Klingon jail.
I tried to find the Klingon jail to put you in there, Steve.
Actually, Sheep was looking for the Klingon jail for you, Steve. So I will say that.
Deserved.
But we were short 2 chairs, and Wookie was down on one knee.
So when you get Wookie and Ewok together. They've had maybe a couple drinks, and we're short
had
chairs.
one.
All sorts
There
of
was-
fun things happen.
This was not a decision based on drinks. This was a sane, clear decision that was
Mhm.
made. You went and looked in the back. There was a back door that was open, and then you just peeked your head in and then came out. And I waited. I did go and ask 2 to 3 other tables if I could borrow their extra chair. And no, they had other people there, or no, it was apparently guarding their important bags, and they were unwilling to give us the chair. So I could not get a chair. So I
So he
opened the
went and
same.
got some.
So I opened the door and I saw a chair. So I went in probably 50, 75 feet, and there was a chair. However, as I picked it up, it folded like cardboard in half because the back had broke. And now I understood why it was there. But off in the distance, probably another 200 feet away, I think I see chairs. So I walked all the way down, and sure enough, it was my lucky day. There were 3 chairs. So I didn't want to be greedy. I only took 2 of those chairs, one for Wookie and one for myself, so we didn't have to kneel. And I came out. Like, I was being a good person to help us get chairs to make sure we could sit in game. I didn't think this was any problem. I mean, if they just had an extra stack of chairs there that people could take, it would have been really helpful. And I brought it out. We were literally outside the door by 5 feet. I gave one to Wookie. He thought I was his champion. I had returned with a chair, and we sat down and played Moonrakers. And like 20 minutes later, I see security coming through with the earpiece and the glasses, like their Secret Service, looking around. And I'm like, I'm still wearing a red hat and a pink jersey. Like,
You're not
this
hard
is
to
the
spot.
easiest spot. If you need to find someone, I am 5 feet away from you, but you walked right past me. There was no effect. They did not bother. We were playing a great game, and Moonrakers was
I
fun.
didn't spot you, JR.
Why?
It's not like he was wearing an easily to spot shirt or nothing.
It didn't have any
Exactly.
Sasquatches on it. That's why.
right.
Didn't have the Sasquatch.
I was not Harry. That is correct.
We gamed until like 2 a.m. Something like that. I don't remember what it was.
No.
Steve came over.
Steve
1
came
o'clock.
over. It was 1 o'clock.
Like- Yeah, I think you guys played until 1 o'clock, and then we walked and got the car. Oh, that's where Ewok saw some interesting fashion choices.
Oh,
Wait, what?
I don't
so
even know if we shared that.
no. So on our walk, it is now Saturday night, and I want to say Saturday night was the Blink 182 concert.
Oh, that was the night before.
That was the night
Oh, that was
before.
Friday.
That's probably,
But there were people going out on the town that were wearing very interesting outfits. You also had the Gen Con crowd. And so it was a great, great mix of individuals. And we enjoyed the walk back. I drove Dan's vehicle very carefully with no issues. I did not run over any kitties or anything else. I was not swerving left and right like he does with my vehicle.
It was a freaking mountain lion attacked your car. I was just trying to save it.
I did not run over a mountain lion, and I
See
got
our
everyone
episode
home
about
safe.
going
I
to.
didn't run over a mountain lion either.
He did
Yes,
swerve
you
around it.
missed it. You swerved. No, but a lot of great scootering. I have no idea how Ghostbuster Girl showed up. I did not see Ghostbuster Girl second and third time, so it made me a little bit sad. I really felt that you could have called me in, like,
Wookiee's
come down here. No,
I wish it was
don't.
my imagination.
I am telling you, the more I think about this, Wookie, the more I think that we are set up, that we are easy marks. So
The more I think about it, the more I think Dan was right. I saved my own life that night.
I
would have
can't
been, and
Or at least your kidney.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Your
I was
kidney,
about
yeah.
to be in a bathtub full of ice, missing a kidney.
all good things happen at Gen Con. But
Yeah.
we made it back, and we were all super quiet, so we did not wake up Dan right away. I really had to hesitate, so I didn't run and jump on you, man. But we went out, and Mr. Steve, what did you go ahead and do with Mr. Wookie? Because Mr. Wookie's in a great, great manner. I brought some water out.
yeah. We cracked open some Coors Lights.
But, ooh, is that what you're tasting right now as well?
I believe
Yes,
those went into
I
the
actually
dumpster.
cracked one earlier for this particular episode.
Yeah. So Mr. Steve was real good, and it's now like I run into 2:00, and I need to hop back in because the nice laying arrangement has me at the front head, and then Mr. Lokakar kind of next, and then there's a space. So I'd either have to crawl over him, but he was waiting up, and I was really worried that I was actually keeping you up, John, and you were on your phone. So I'm like, I'll go till 2:00. And once 2:00 hit, then I went in. They finished sometime later. It could be at any point.
I don't remember.
And then I
it's
hear
like 12:30
on
or 2:30.
Sunday morning, "Rah, rah, rah," the most annoying noise ever.
I don't remember who I was like, somebody wake me up because I am
You
going to miss
asked
this
me,
alarm.
and you're drunk and stupid the night before. Like, I don't know if I'll wake up to my alarm. And like, all right, I'll make sure you get up. I had to wake him up 3 separate times
I
before he
was
finally rolled
hungover
out of
as
his tent.
Shit.
Hey, you don't talk to me. You set your alarm for Thursday at 5:20 in the morning when we need to be up at 6, man. So you and I are both up because we hear our alarm and we're like, bing, we're up. Here we go. And yeah. I did not punch you that morning, but if arbitrator said I could, I might have.
All I remember is being woken up with somebody going, breakfast beer? I was like, and I thought about it. I was like, oh, it hurt. It all
That was
hurts.
Mr. Steve.
It all hurts. Why
So
does
we
it
went
hurt?
and found the poop easy, and we
Mhm.
had plenty of time. But Alliance was essentially finished for me in the top placement. They did tell us we could get our prizes, but we had no idea where we actually faced. So that was another debacle because it had both Dragon Master and myself went out of the same round, but where are we placing?
Yeah, one was top 4, one was not.
And so that matters. And so Josh is like having a heart attack
Does
over
it?
this. He was, and I'm like, Josh,
it's
what
the
is this?
difference of a playmat and the difference of the deck has a guaranteed revenant or not.
Correct. And so that was it. Basically, just so you guys are aware.
Mine had
so
two.
Prizing. Let's talk about this is nationals. Now 1 and 2 do get access to worlds. What prizing, sweet prizing did we go ahead and get? You may ask. Well, there was a top 8 mats. Yep. There was a top 4 playmat, and then you got a Revenant deck. Otherwise, you just got an Awakenings deck. They were both Grim Reminders. If you were the runner-up, you went ahead and got your Revenant deck, your runner-up mats, and you got a blue teal book.
Mhm.
And then the champion got their Revenant deck, got their blue teal book, got their little key, the super key.
The super key.
So they got to see super key first, and supposedly they got 3 Grim Reminders.
Yeah, they got 3 Revenant decks.
Yeah, it wasn't listed here, but that's it. So for Allie and myself, we both finished roughly what should have been the same place, but because Alliance was all messed up, Josh was having a heart attack. I said, what's the pricing? Allie really wanted the band mat, which was the top 4 mat. Top 4 technically had me listed, so I said, Josh, don't worry about it. Josh was freaking out because the placement was different, but Allie's strength of schedule was stronger. So I gave her I said, great, I can have a mat. A mat's a mat. It doesn't matter to me. So I took the Revenant deck. She took the top 4 mat. I got pictures with both. And she goes ahead and opens her Awakenings deck, which pulls a Witch Queen deck, which I still have yet to pull. And then everyone was making fun of me.
Pretty good Witch Queen deck, too.
Yeah, it actually was. But again, it's a mat. It doesn't really super matter. And we move on. And then later on, I realized, Josh, the reason I'm top 4 is I don't know what about the strength of schedule, but my only 2 losses were to Aviator and JDG, who are 1 and 2. So that would put me at a better spot. It does not matter. It really has no impact. But another reason why we need to have a top 8 cut, and then you need to just do 8, 4, 2, boom, done. Prizes, yeah, they were pretty poor. I know a couple people have talked about it, why people didn't show up. So I'd love to see them actually updated or improved like significantly for next year. And my
Pricing
recommendation,
was a little rough.
pricing was pathetic. Let's say it as it is.
Pricing was adequate to the cost of the event, ignoring that it's Gen Con. But you can't put Gen Con into that because nowhere else runs their event in Gen Con.
I'm not putting my calculations into the event that it was Gen Con. I just know Vault Tour is what the second place is getting, and I don't feel like I was like, is Nationals below a Vault Tour?
Yes, Nationals is below a Vault Tour.
Significantly below a Vault Tour?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so what's in between it?
Nothing. There's no in between Vault Tour and Nationals.
Okay.
Yeah, once upon a time, it would have been store and then prime or regionals and then nationals and then vaults.
I just felt that the second place pricing was the pricing in general was a little lackluster, considering we see what VTs get, and considering we see, it's like, oh, it's not even half.
So I think a VT does have to be better because they know they're designing those as fairly long distance travel events.
They're the destination of themselves.
Most nationals that are not US are pulling a significant smaller regional area. The US and really Canada both really suffer from that problem where our geographical area for our nation is monsters. Like
large.
Russia would be the same thing, right? Except all their population is a relatively small part. China, probably the same thing, right? Huge population, large mass, makes one national kind of silly. Like you'd think nationals should really not be nationals and they should be population center based things. But for ease, they're named what they are and they are what they are. But yeah, it's US Nationals is always going to be a somewhat mediocre event in comparison to other nationals
because it was
of our size.
It was $100 to play in all three events.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that's the same price that it costs me to play in a Vault Tour.
Yes, but in a Vault Tour,
to which I also got to play in all three events.
You get more free stuff at a Vault Tour for your $100. So that's actually better because either one you get 3 decks, but at Vault Tour you get a bonus deck too.
The Vault Master VM.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still don't particularly think the cost of the event was unreasonable. Like,
the problem is that it's at Gen Con, and you're separating that out. I get that, but Gen Con, the ticket alone without housing or food is additional.
Like, it's not the vendor or the tournament organizer's responsibility to offset the cost of Gen Con.
And
but this is why they could run it simply in a different space and go ahead and have a field event that's not part of the Vault Tour. And that's the recommendation.
Because I'm not even saying that, like you had to, but what I'm saying is like you look at the Vault Tour and you look at my, and I'm just like, oh.
Okay. Yes, it was suggested by more than one person that maybe Nationals isn't run at Gen Con.
The thing I do think that GG could do and needs to do is establish what the prizes are ahead of time. Coming into Gen Con, we did not know, so that again decreased our amount. And you can see that when we have 38, 26, and 13 players playing in the respective events.
We went into finals not knowing what the pricing was.
Correct. And that's something that can't happen. Like, you have to communicate, and you have to communicate early. Here's the event. Here's what the prizes are. Let people know. Even if they're pathetic, which is what they were, let people know, and the people will still come out.
I still can't call the prizes pathetic. They're not inspiring. I wonder what is a guaranteed Revenant deck worth?
Nothing.
It depends if it has nothing else in it, 0, and that's the
sealed guaranteed Revenant deck.
I don't.
They were going on eBay. I can't remember how much, but it was like $50 or something.
Okay.
At one point.
Well, it should have kept.
So while you're there, you can go ahead and see Bad Penny did have a link to
Last year's.
To the nationals that are coming up. And this, I hadn't seen this. So this actually was important to me because I didn't know that there was a map for the national championships, but I went ahead and pulled that information. So you had U.S. Nationals August 1st through 4th. We finished that. Next up is the Brazilian Nationals, August 23rd and 24th. Then in Denmark, or Danish, is August 31st and September 1st. Canadian and Italian are both happening on the same weekend, September 28th and 29th. And France finishes it out October 4th and 5th. That's what's on the map, boys
Italian
and girls.
Grand Nats are the same time as
Yep.
Madrid Vault.
Yep.
Go to the vault.
I feel like those were scheduled independently of each other.
Yep. That's my hypothesis. But it's just, if we want to be able to grow the game, we need to be able to communicate. We need to stick with our decision that's made, even if it's a bad decision. And we need to be able to work on low player counts because, frankly, that's where we are. So the expectation that we're going to have 100 plus, like, I mean, there were 2 players that came in and asked, "Hey, what are our numbers? Are they back at what we saw with FFG games, FFG days at 300?"
I thought we were going to be at 300.
Yeah, and no. Like that's not realistic. But we have a phenomenal group, so we're going to celebrate what we have. But we can go ahead and make this more successful by announcing what the prizes are ahead of time, what's actually happening for events. I think they did a really nice job at streaming out. So there's some improvements that are definitely happening, but there's still some work to be done to continue this process.
But big congratulations to Fabulosing, Grishhammer, and Aviator. Those are your sealed Archon and Alliance winners. Anything else we missed from the weekend? All that jazz?
Our Drazcore experiencing was poor.
Very. Or at best.
Lokakar did bring us to a decent bar that had some barrel-aged cocktails, and they were okay.
Yeah, that was Wednesday night.
Well, we're just starting the week there. And then the rest of the time we actually spent board gaming and hanging out with people doing that as opposed to a Drowscore experience. So
it was a poop experience.
It was a Sydney experience, I guess.
I kind of thought that maybe we would. We had plans. None of it came to fruition.
We won't be sharing the pictures from Saturday night of how Sydney gets once she's had a few in her. So,
wow.
Spoken Steel is where we ended up, and actually it was very good. I had no problem with that. Yeah,
you definitely went with the winner of the Smash Burger.
Yeah, Smash Burger was the win.
That was definitely the winner.
I know the cost was high, but I enjoy playing Keyforge. I enjoy the group. Mr. Steve Mr. Helmke coming with us. We had a wonderful time, and I would totally go ahead and do that again. I do get a chance to see Kinky Wookie here, so a lot of in-jokes and fun things happening.
Oh, I forgot about the Kinky Wookie thing.
I know. Lots of great games and memories, so things that I will forever cherish.
Alrighty. Well, I think with that being said, it's going to be a long episode. But with that being said, we'll see y'all next week.
Yay.
May the Forge be with you.
It's been fun.
Oh, we got to do Drazcore's part. What does Drazcore say? Nobody knows. We'll see y'all next week.